I told him. You deleted those messages right in front of me as I was begging for the truth. His face was pale. Please. That was years ago. I'm begging you. I need you to sign these divorce papers. I just smiled. I know. Some things are meant to be permanently deleted. We've been a rock for 11 years. Married for 1. But together for what feels like a lifetime. With kids and a house and all the comfortable routines you build together. I work from home. He's on site. And honestly, we've always been solid. No cheating scares. No shady behavior. No work-wife drama. The trust was just there. An assumed fact. Like the sun coming up. So when he came home drunk last week from a work thing, I didn't think much of it. He mumbled something about his boss. Passed out on the couch. And I put a blanket over him. Standard stuff. A few minutes later, his phone, which had left on the coffee table, buzzed. I glanced over and saw a messenger preview from a woman I recognized as one of his coworkers. The message was innocent. Something like, "You make it home okay." I knew they'd been out together in a group. So my brain registered 0 alarms. But then, something I can't explain happened. I've never, in 11 years, felt the urge to check his phone. It's always felt gross and invasive. But that night, this weird, quiet impulse just took over. I picked it up. I opened their chat, fully expecting to see a few work-related messages. But as I started to scroll up, my thumb just kept going, and going. It wasn't a few messages. It was a book. They talked every single day. Exclusively after work hours. My blood went cold. The topics weren't sexual. There were no I love yous. But in a way, it was worse. It was the kind of conversation you have when you're building something new with someone. He was getting to know her. And she was getting to know him. He was sending her updates. Just left the office. Cooking dinner now. Driving home. My stomach twisted. I looked at the timestamps. He sent her the driving home message while he was literally on his way home to me. He was sharing the small bore, intimate details of his day with her. Moments that belonged to our family. He'd be sitting on the couch next to me, watching a movie with our kids, and secretly typing away to her. He talks to me about his workday all the time. But he had never, not once, mentioned this woman's name. She was a ghost in our house. And I never even knew it. My brain was trying to make sense of it. What was this? It wasn't physical cheating. But it felt like a betrayal on a molecular level. He was carving out a piece of his life and his emotional energy and giving it to someone else. All while hiding it in plain sight. I was looking at concrete proof that the man sleeping on my couch was living a parallel life on his phone. The trust I thought was made of steel suddenly felt like cheap glass. And I was watching the cracks spread in real time. It was the slow, sickening scroll that changed everything. I stood there in the quiet living room. The phone feeling like it weighed 100 pounds. What do you even do with this information? He's right there. But he's also a million miles away. In a conversation I was never meant to see. Am I losing my mind? Or is this as big of a betrayal as it feels? I didn't sleep. I just sat in the dark, replaying the messages in my head until the sun came up. The next morning, I waited until he was sitting at the kitchen table, nursing a cup of coffee and a hangover. I put his phone on the table between us. I didn't slam it down. I placed it there quietly, which somehow felt more serious. We need to talk about her, I said. He blinked, confused. Her who? The fact that he even had to ask felt like a punch to the gut. I watched his face as the realization dawned on him. He wasn't just surprised. He was completely blindsided. Like a cornered animal. For a second, I saw pure panic in his eyes before a wall of defensiveness slammed down. Oh. That. Babe. It's nothing. He said, waving his hand dismissively. Seriously. It's not what you think. We just talk. I was just entertained. I guess. It's just a distraction. A distraction. For 11 years. I was his person. We were each other's distraction. Comfort. And endgame. The phrase felt so cheap. So insulting. I told him I read the messages. How he updated her on his every move. How he did it while sitting right next to me. His face got tight. And he started fumbling with his phone. He wasn't making eye contact with me anymore. His eyes were glued to his screen. And his thumbs were moving fast. What are you doing? I asked. My voice low. He didn't answer. Just kept typing and swiping. I leaned over the table and saw the familiar interface of Messenger. And in that one horrifying moment, my brain processed what was happening. He wasn't texting someone for help. He was erasing her. He was actively deleting their entire conversation history while I was in the middle of telling him how much it had destroyed me. Are you serious? I snapped. And the sound of my own voice startled me. You're deleting it. Right now. In front of me. He finally looked up. His expression a pathetic mix of guilt and defiance. I just don't want you to be upset. It's too late for that. I said, my voice rising. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the proof. Innocent people don't destroy evidence. You tell me about every single person at your job. You complain about Brenda in accounting and talk about what Mark from logistics had for lunch. But in 4 years, and especially since this new girl started, you have never once said her name to me. Why? He had no answer. He just sat there, phone in hand. The argument was no longer about the messages themselves. It was about this blatant, cowardly act of deception. He had a choice. He could have owned it, explained himself, and faced the consequences. Instead, he chose to hide, to deny, to delete. He chose the lie. His words kept saying it's nothing. But his actions were screaming that it was everything. Everything he was willing to lie about and cover up to my face. How am I supposed to believe a single word he says now? What do you do when the person you trust most in the world shows you, with their own 2 hands, that they are not to be trusted? It's been a few days, and the atmosphere in our house is thick with a silence that's louder than any argument. He's trying. God. He's trying so hard it's almost painful to watch. He's doing all the things he thinks he's supposed to do. He's apologetic. He's attentive. He keeps saying he'll do anything and everything to fix what he broke. He promises he's blocked her and that he'll never speak to anyone but me like that again. But every action feels like an act of penance, not genuine connection. The problem is, my brain won't let me move on. It's like their conversation has been permanently burned onto the back of my eyelids. When I see him on his phone, my chest tightens, even if he's just looking up a recipe. When he leaves for work, I can't help but picture him walking into the same building as her. The trust is gone, and in its place is this ugly, churning suspicion that I hate. He'll tell me he's on his way home from the office, and I'll get a flashback of him typing that exact same message to her. The most normal, everyday moments are now contaminated. I'm struggling to reconcile the 2 versions of my husband that now exist in my head. There's the man I built a life with for 11 years, me best friend, the father of my children, the one person I thought I knew completely. And then there's this new man, a stranger who could look me in the eye while hiding an entire emotional world from me. A man who could so easily lie and delete the evidence when caught. I don't know how to make those 2 people one again. He keeps telling me, this isn't me. I'm not that guy. And the most heartbreaking part is that for over a decade, I knew he wasn't. I would have bet my life on it. But now, I've seen what he's capable of. The thing that haunts me the most is the what if. What if I hadn't felt that weird impulse to check his phone? This wouldn't have stopped. It would have grown. I didn't catch a mistake. I caught a pattern. A secret life that was escalating. It wasn't a confession. It was a capture. So Reddit. I'm lost. He says he wants to fix this. But the trust he shattered feels like it's been turned to dust. How do you even begin to sweep that up? How do you rebuild a foundation when you're not even sure what's real anymore? For anyone who has been through this, where the betrayal isn't physical, but emotional and deceptive, how did you find a way back? Is it even possible to look at him and not see the ghost of that conversation?